This is the IELTS Listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to Part 1. Part 1.
You will hear a conversation between a potential student at Clevedon College and a representative in the Information Centre. Look at questions 1 to 4. Listen to the first part of the conversation and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good morning, Clevedon College. Can I help you?
Yes, please. I'd like some information about evening courses this term.
Okay. Which subjects are you interested in?
2 subjects, actually. Languages and computer skills.
Okay. What languages are you interested in?
Actually, I'm not sure. I have to fulfill a language requirement for school, but I haven't really decided what language to study. How many language courses do you run each week?
We have 2 every night, from Monday to Friday.
I'm sorry, but would you mind going through the schedule for me? Which language on which days?
Not at all. Monday to Wednesday are modern European languages: French, Spanish, German, Dutch and Polish. Thursday night, we offer ancient languages, Latin and ancient Greek. And on Friday, we finish off with the Asian languages of Hindi and Bengali.
Monday to Wednesday, modern European. Thursday, ancient languages. And Friday, Asian. Can you spell Bengali, please?
Yes, it's B-E-N-G-A-L-I.
Great. And how much do the courses cost?
Each course costs £25 per person per term. But if you want to do 2 language courses, there's a 10% discount, but only if you book for 2 terms.
So the 10% discount is if I take 2 courses for 2 terms. Is that right?
Right.
Would it be possible for me to book my classes right now?
No, sorry, the computer's down. What I suggest you do is call extension 9694. Oh, no, sorry, 6994 after 6 p.m. and ask for Mrs. Johnson.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Did you say 6994 after 6 p.m.?
Yes, 6994. Please ask for Mrs. Johnson.
Thanks. Okay.
Listen to the second part of the conversation and answer questions 5 to 10. As the conversation continues, complete questions 5 to 10.
Can we now look at the computer skill courses?
Yes, of course. Computer classes always start in the first week of the month, and the way it works is we offer 1 computer class for the entire month. So you might spend 1 month on databases another month on Excel, and so on. Classes meet once a week on Tuesday afternoons. The next class starts February 1st.
Okay, so for the upcoming month, February?
February is going to be databases. There are 24 places still free on that course, and it costs £40 per person.
February, databases, 24 openings, £40. Okay.
Excel starts in March, and that's nearly full. Only 4 slots left. It's £45.
Okay, Excel. March. Only 4 slots left. Got it.
April is Outlook. That is never as popular since it costs so much more, but you get a free CD. It is £60 for the month, and there are 19 places left.
Okay, April. Outlook, £60. Is that it?
No. On the 3rd of June, we start a Word course. We have 16 vacancies for that at the moment. It's also expensive at £55.
3rd of June, Word, 16 vacancies, £55. Now, do I call the same number to book a place in one of these classes?
No, you have to call Mary Jones, I think. Yes, Mary Jones. Extension 9623.
Sorry, could you repeat that number?
Yes, extension 9623. Please call her before 6 p.m.
Okay, many thanks for all your help.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 1. Part 2.
You will hear a library assistant talking about the library she works in. You now have 30 seconds to read questions 11 to 15.
Hi, can I help you?
Yes. I wanted to join the library.
Okay. First of all, let me show you round the library and explain a few things for you. Okay, now we're here at the main entrance. You can see the reception, which is where you bring back and take out books. And also, we can order books and answer your questions there. Next to the reception, where you can see those old desks, is where we keep the magazines, because you can sit down and read there. They're divided into sections for sciences, geography, arts, etc. Then, at the back of the library, you can see the section for old books. Next to that is where the books proper start. That used to be the science section, but now on those shelves you'll find the art section. We had a big reorganisation in the summer, which I think has made it clearer. The numbering is standard, so you should be able to find what you want quite easily. However, if you can't find something, it probably means it's been borrowed. Okay, then in the corner next to the reference section is where we thought it was quietest and away from the phones and printers and things, so we've put the study desks there. They all have computer access if you need it for your laptop. We do ask that you don't just read magazines there, though. Okay, then there's the reference section, where you can look up the files. Then, as we come back to the main entrance, is the next section, where we used to have the languages. It got very busy and noisy, so when we moved everything round, we decided to put the law books here. Also, because it's a smaller section, it fits quite well here. OK then, we're back at the main entrance. Over there, by reception, there's a door that goes to the extension. And we have further sections, such as languages and study desks through there. So you could have a look round when we've finished. Then, just between reception and the door here, is where we decided to put the computers. But the computer magazines are in the magazine section, as we found too many went missing here. OK, is that everything?
You now have 30 seconds to read questions 16 to 20.
That's great, thanks. Can you just tell me a bit about borrowing and the rules and whatever?
Of course. Over the last 2 months, we've been introducing a new system for this, and you can now take books out for 6 weeks. That's generally enough for most people. We usually get books back within 30 days. Of course, you may decide to renew the period. You used to have to come in to get the book stamped, because we don't like doing it over the phone, as there's no record of it. But now you can do all that via email.
Oh.
If you do forget to renew, then we do make a charge, I'm afraid. That helps our costs, of course, but we do insist on it. The good news is that there is only one charge. I know some libraries charge £1 for 1 week, and then it goes up with each week it's late. We ask for £1.50, as we think that's high enough to stop people being overdue. The other thing you may want to know is what you do about books that are not on the shelves. We do have a system for reserving them. All you have to do is fill in a yellow form behind those blue ones on the desk and give it to someone at reception. We'll let you know when it comes in. Also, sometimes you will need a journal article that we don't have but can get from other libraries. So we offer an ordering service if you need it. Now, if you'd like to fill in this form here...
That is the end of Part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 2. Part 3.
You will hear a conversation between Cressida, a student of journalism, and her tutor, Dr. Erskine, about a work placement that she has recently done. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Well, Cressida, that was an interesting presentation you gave yesterday on your placement at the TV News Centre.
Thank you, Dr. Erskine. I did work hard on it.
Yes, and you did entertain the class. They enjoyed your humour, but you informed them too. But I felt there was a bit of a backstory. You know, something you weren't telling us. So how was it really?
Yeah, well, I learned a lot, as I said. But I think some of the lessons weren't ones I wanted to share with the whole group. I mean, my expectations about what it would be like were too high. I'd been fantasizing a bit about what I'd be doing. I mean, it all worked out okay in the end. But I got off to a bad start.
Yes, I heard something similar from the producer, Ainsley Webb, who assessed your performance. He was quite negative about some of the things you did and your initial attitude, I'm afraid. Would you like to give me your version?
I didn't prepare properly is the main thing. On my first morning, I hadn't checked my commuting route properly, and I didn't notice that it says the buses don't start till 6. I had to run all the way to the studio, but I was still late, and I looked a mess.
Well, better at this stage of your career than later. To be honest, I made the same kind of mistakes when I was your age. But anyway, as I say, I think the presentation yesterday went extremely well, and I will bear that in mind when I grade your work experience overall.
Thank you for being so understanding.
Right. Now, have you completed your diary of what you did there? Professor Jenkins hasn't received it, he says.
Yes, I have finished it, but I wanted to just tidy it up a bit. Some of it was written in a bit of a hurry. I'll email it to him this afternoon.
OK, but I'm afraid he says this will have to be the last time you submit late. Journalism is all about deadlines, and if you can't manage them on your course, he can't give you a diploma saying you're competent, can he?
Oh, yes, I'll do it straight after this. I didn't realise.
Well, he can be a bit abrupt if he's kept waiting. It's the one thing he really doesn't like.
Ooh.
I'm sure everything is going to be fine. You're getting very good grades on your work, so as long as you remember that.
Yes.
Now, did you manage okay generally, do you think?
Yeah, okay, I think. Well, it took a while to get to grips with all the equipment. Some of it was quite old, not as fast as what we have here in college, and at first I kept thinking it was my fault. I wasn't pressing the right buttons or something. The thing was, none of the TV centre staff asked me if I wanted instructions. If I asked them how to do some particular operation, they were perfectly civil and would show me, and even say thank you for what I did do. But I felt awkward to keep asking.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
Now, well, let's just review where you are, your write-up, and what you're going to include going forward to next term. First of all, did you eventually feel you were given enough to do?
The first couple of days were manic. The production team was short of staff, and I was rushing all over the building, taking messages to various people and fetching things. Of course, I didn't know my way around, so I kept ending up in some storeroom or somewhere instead of the studio I was meant to be in. Or I mistook some important visitor for a colleague because I didn't know who anyone was. Then, after that, things sort of calmed down. So sometimes I was hanging about until someone decided to give me a chore. But I had a piece of luck at the end of the week, because they got a new bit of equipment which was the same as we have in the editing suite here, and I knew how to use it, which none of them did. So that gave me a bit of status. Unfortunately, it meant I spent the next 3 days stuck in the editing suite. But by the end, I'd shown I wasn't just a silly student. So then, when the senior reporter needed someone to go out with him when he went to interview a junior minister, I got to go along, because he knew I could handle the technical side.
Well, that's good.
Yes. Well, I know I need to learn from my mistakes. I mean, basically, I need to think more about forward planning. But on the other hand, I feel much more confident now. I did survive. I didn't ruin anything. I did actually make a contribution, according to the producer. One thing I want to take forward to my final assignment, though, is some reflections on ethics.
Yes?
I had a bit of an argument with one of the senior presenters. He was editing part of an interview, and he just changed something someone said.
Ah.
When I questioned him, he just snubbed me. And I mean, this wasn't some public relations expert or government professional spokesperson. It was like a member of the public. But he said, oh, they never remember what they said anyway.
You want to develop this into part of your final assignment? It would be a very positive line. I can give you some references.
Oh, thanks. That would be great.
That is the end of Part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 3. Part 4.
You will hear a talk about a research project on the tiger shark. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the research project I've been involved in on the tiger shark. First of all, some background information. The tiger shark, also known as the leopard shark, is often thought to have got its name from its aggressive nature. But in actual fact, it's called that because it has dark bands similar to those on a tiger's body. It is a huge creature, growing up to lengths of 6.5 meters. It can be found just about everywhere throughout the world's temperate and tropical seas, but it is most often found along the coast rather than the open sea. In terms of feeding, tiger sharks tend to be most active at night and are solitary hunters. Their preferred prey includes other sharks, turtles, seabirds, and dolphins, to name but a few. However, it's not uncommon to find garbage in its stomach. This is because it tends to feed in areas such as harbors and river inlets, where there is a lot of human activity. Now to the project itself. We are particularly interested in some studies that have been done in the Rain Island area. Observations here have shown that there is a large population of tiger sharks present in the summer during the turtle nesting season. However, during the winter months the sharks disappear. So we decided to do some of our own research there. The first step was to tag a number of sharks so that we could follow their movements. To do this, we first needed to catch the sharks. Early in the morning, we baited lines with large bits of fish and set them in place. These lines were then checked every 3 or 4 hours. If no sharks were caught, the baits were replaced. Once a shark had been caught on one of the baited hooks, it was pulled in close to the boat and secured, so that we could carry out a number of brief activities to aid our research. This usually took no more than about 10 minutes and was carried out as carefully as possible to minimize any stress to the shark. Each of the tiger sharks that we caught was measured and fitted with an identification tag, and also a small amount of tissue was taken for genetic studies. For some larger sharks over 3 meters long, we also inserted into the belly a special acoustic tag capable of sending satellite signals, while on other large sharks we attached a camera to the dorsal fin to enable us to study the behavior and habitat use of the sharks. After this, the shark was released, and we were able to follow its movements. So what was the purpose of all this tagging? Well, While we were already familiar with some aspects of the tiger shark's behavior and food sources, what we hoped to do in this project was to see exactly what factors affected the migration patterns of tiger sharks and whether it was, in fact, food, weather, and reproductive needs. These are some of our findings. On February 21st, a large female shark, whom we named Natalie, was attracted to our research boat at the northern tip of Rain Island and fitted with one of the satellite tags I've just mentioned. No transmissions were received from Natalie between April 2nd and April 29th, indicating that she didn't surface to feed during this period. The area in which she was last reported is very shallow, suggesting that she may have changed her feeding preferences during this period to focus on prey found on the sea floor. We also made a number of other discoveries, thanks to the various transmitters we used. It seems that tiger sharks move back and forth between the ocean floor and the surface quite often. This may help the sharks conserve energy while they swim, but it probably also helps them hunt, since this movement back and forth maximizes its chances of not being detected by its prey until the last minute. So far, our findings have not been conclusive. However, we have gained some very interesting insights into the behavior of tiger sharks and are now hoping to develop our research further.
That is the end of Part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 4. That is the end of the listening test. In the IELTS test, you would now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.